We get asked in the shop quite often about how to get kids into fly fishing. And so today I wanted to share with you a little bit about my story and how I've gotten my kids into fishing and some suggestions on what you can do to get your little ones out on the water. The first thing that you need to do, this is mandatory, is make sure that they're gonna catch fish. So maybe targeting steelhead or salmon for their first fish might not be, though memorable, might not be quite appropriate in setting you up for the win. When I got my kids into fishing, the first thing we would go fishing for was panfish. Panfish are easy, and though you may get bored with them, but they won't. And constant action over size of fish is more important when getting kids into fishing. Also, for those of you that are avid fly fishers, I know you want to share your love of fly fishing with your kid, but fly fishing is not easy. We know this, and so it might mean having to transition kids into the fly. So what I did with my kids, got a couple lightweight spinning rods, and just got them hooked on fishing before I even introduced them to fly fishing. So we would go out fishing for panfish or for bass or trout, just using some lightweight conventional tackle before they started to ask to fish with the pole with the green string, as they put it. When taking kids fishing, for the kids, many times it's more than just the fishing for them. It's being out in nature, in the environment, and getting to see all of the fun things that are out there. And so helping them discover those things is important. Recently on a trip to Montana, we spent over an hour just flipping rocks and hunting stoneflies without even wetting the line. Stonefly it is? A yummy one.
Yep.
You can try to eat it?
Can you eat these for real?
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I know people that might try them on occasion. What do you think about that, bud?
Very cool.
When my kids were really little, when they were like 2.5, 3 years old, and I wanted to take them out on the water, we planned to only be out for an hour, and I always brought food with me for them. Bring some snacks, go get ice cream afterwards. Make sure that they're having positive memories of the full experience. A little ice cream bribery goes a long ways. Okay, so maybe you've had your kids out fishing conventional tackle for a little bit, or maybe they're older. Maybe your kids are 8 to 10 or something like that, and they are ready to dive into fly fishing. I really wanted to have my kids have the experience of catching a trout on a dry fly, and even though they're only 6 and 8, and so to ensure success, we ended up doing a little road trip, and we went out to Montana and floated a river out there for a couple days and fished just some big golden stones. There was plenty of hoppers around, but the fishing was it was great. I think we were about 1 for 30 for each kid on the dry fly, and so the technique is not that important for them. They don't need to have tight loops, and they don't need to be double hauling or anything like that. So when you're working with your kids, keep it really to the basics. Just work on them stopping up super high on the back cast and high on the forward cast. They can have a short casting stroke because they're not going to be casting long distance. They shouldn't be casting long distance. Make sure you put them in a fishery and in a location that's going to allow for some close-in fishing. So one of the days we were in Montana, we hiked to a lake, and it was like a dream come true. There were Callibaetis mayflies hatching all over the place, and fish were jumping for these fish. And unfortunately, I had hiked up there with just a 9'5" weight, and we had some kid rods along that we had been fishing on the river, but at the lake we didn't hike in with the kid rods, and so my 6-year-old was trying to cast with the regular 9'5" weight, and it really made it clear to me that for kids getting into fly fishing, that using an age-appropriate rod really is an advantage for them and helps them out a lot. So on our trip to Montana, we had some kid rods along, and one of them was the Redington Minnow, and this was recently replaced by a new model. And the new one, the new update, the colors are a little bit more fun. But what I noticed is that the action in both of these rods was quite a bit different. And so if you have a kid that's a little bit older, maybe in that 10, 12-year-old age range, the older Redington Minnow, the action of it was a little bit faster. It wasn't fast action, but it was a little bit faster than the new Redington Minnow. We actually have a bunch of these on clearance right now, and so picking one of these up at a good deal is a good idea. One of the things I like about the new Redington Minnow is that the new one is a 4-piece rod instead of a 2. I mean, the colors are fun. Kids dig that. They think that that's pretty great. But it also does come with a little case, whereas the previous Redington Minnow only came with it was a 2-piece rod and only came with a rod stock. There was no case with it. And for those of you that have kids as wonderful as mine that can manage to break everything, the case is important. The case is very important. So for really young kids, I really recommend this guy. For kids that are a little bit older, maybe pick up one of the older Redington Minnows on clearance. Either way, they're both really fun to cast. I think you'll dig them too. So just remember, it's not all about catching fish. Kids love to explore, and if you're losing their attention out on the water, it's fine to goof off, to play some games, to have casting practice, to go catch frogs and stoneflies and all those other type of things. So we'll see you on the water.